Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks, Madam Joshi, to be here and to listen to how, this factor of safety is being there in our dairy sector. So since morning, we have been listening to the very fact that more or less everything is fine and it is safe. So what I was wondering that had it been safe, this particular session might not have this particular title. Kuch to hai. So I would like to start that, first thing, because it's a agri-produce, as Sodhi sir has been mentioning since the morning, almost covering 20% of the total agri-produce. Out of 50 lakh crore, it stands at 11 lakh crores. But, one of the statement which always comes, it says, food can never be safe if the unsafe practices in agricultural and animal husbandry are ignored. Ignored is when you have identified that and you have started to work in that area. But my question is one step before that, have we really identified those areas and have we already identified what kind of practices should be there at the national level? So if we look at overall, on the complete dairy value chain, because safety is an outcome in a holistic manner, it's a 360-degree kind of a thing. And I would like to tell you that we are hardly covering 33% of the total dairy value chain in the country. The milk is being produced at some place, then collected, taken to the plant, then processed and go for the market. The first part, the production part, starting with the soil and then feed, fodder, animal, farmer, his practices, his house, nothing is there on our radar. The moment milk reaches at that particular point of VLC, that is from where milk comes in our so-called custody. And the moment it leaves the cold store for most of the dairies, I'm not going to talk about those, and considering 70% of milk being sold in liquid form. After the cold store, practically there is no kind of regulation. Nobody is looking at that. At what temperature the milk is going on, being sold, in what kind of conditions. So from that perspective, if we are just touching upon 33% of the total dairy value chain, how can we say that it is safe in a holistic manner? Now what is happening in that particular part, the way dairy evolved, I'll just take 5 to 6 minutes, and after then I think I've got an awesome panel who are going to give more insights. I'm just sharing my little understanding and little scribbling, which I did before coming over here, considering it to be a serious topic. It cannot be taken lightly. If you look at the dairy evolution in the country since 1946, there were two major areas where, the most of the investment went. Number one, to create inclusion, dairy cooperatives. The second one was to create infrastructure. But what missed, if I tell you that please sit on this chair or sit on this stool and it has got 2 legs only, I think you are going to doubt something. The third element of quality was missing. And that third element was being seen when, quality infrastructure became part of NPDT. It became part of that, and then suddenly, something started to happen across the nation when in the Dairy Infrastructure Fund for the quality improvement of milk, there were a lot much of funding coming up and programs started. 4 key areas where this investment is directed. Number one, quality infrastructure, be it resources, be it equipment, be it building. The training part, training is the most important thing. That are the people really clear with what they have to do? The third one is related to certification when we talk of ISO 22000. Believe you me, I also travel a little bit. I have also seen a little bit of plants in the country. 2 things I would like to share. People talk very high about their certificates. When you go into the factory, they also show the best of the documentation. But what I wonder to see, that in the workers' toilet, soap is not there. They become very strong on HACCP, but they lack drastically as far as the PRPs are concerned. You know, even the boundaries are breached. And I'm not talking about right now when I'm standing over here, I know my responsibility. If I'm talking about, I'm covering almost all kind of dairies. But the thing is, yes, that kind of orientation is there. So what is needed? The quality part is needed. Now quality, over here, standing over here, I'm not begging anyone, you know, to provide safe milk to the consumer. I would like to tell you, this is my constitutional right. This is also a fact. Our constitution doesn't contain the word food safety. This is also quite a big surprise. However, entry 18 in list 3 of the constitution empowers both center and state legislature to enact laws on food adulteration, which has been done. Every citizen has right to safe food, as Article 21 guarantees right to life, while Article 47 casts a duty upon state to raise level of nutrition and public health. It is my constitutional right. And interestingly, you know, all the time we know something being done by people like Maneka Gandhi. It is only post Maneka Gandhi, the scope and ambit of the Article 21 got expanded, and Supreme Court of India held that right to life doesn't merely means animal existence. Right to life includes right to live with human dignity. And that is where, you know, that is the area where I ask all the stakeholders, I ask government to look for providing safe milk environment and safe milk to everyone. Now, so my first question, I've got an awesome panel as I mentioned to you. I'll start with Dr. Rajan. And so he's himself a dairy chemist and joint director research with NDRI, which is by chance my alma mater also. Sir, I would just like to quote a small thing that one of the fellow in 2011 came and joined our organization, and he did his MTech biochemistry from Ireland. And I asked, what's your dissertation project? So he said, my dissertation project was milk adulteration using sensor technology for adulterated milk. So I asked him that you did it in Ireland, it must be a wonderful experience. He said, sir, it was a wonderful experience because when I told my guide, this is the topic I have taken, then he asked me, where will you find adulterated milk? And then what he did, practically he was putting all those, because, you know, he was pretty well averse with, you know, what kind of adulterants are being used. He was putting them under LOD conditions, testing it with the sensor and writing his dissertation. So my first question to you, sir, that chemical adulteration is amongst the most common way of making milk unsafe. Normally, right? Since the beginning, I'm not talking of microbial over here. So which are the most common one, those chemicals, and how do they make milk unsafe? And what is that level of, you know, unsafety being created? Because you have done a lot of research on this. Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you said that the problem in the Ireland, so probably if the problem would have existed in those countries, so we would not have the problem in India also. You can see that in the medical line, lot of blood analyzers are available, which can, you know, test the blood in a very short period of time. Probably that type of equipment we are still lacking. Probably in the next few years, we may have such type of equipment which can give all the adulterant and all the composition of milk in a, you know, a fraction of time and also the cost. So regarding the chemical adulterant in the milk, probably I'll say that these can be, you know, divided into 3 categories. First is, of course, the neutralizer. You know, when milk gets sour, people add these type of neutralizers, which include sodium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, and so on. And second is preservative, which include hydrogen peroxide and formaldehyde. So these are probably H2O2 is more prevalent than the formaldehyde. And lastly, people add things like which increase the fraudulently increase the SNF content of the milk, which include a long list of adulterant is there, like maltodextrin, urea, sodium chloride, ammonium sulfate, and so on. So when you talk about which level is safe, I think it is not right to say that which level is safe. We should say that at whatever level we can detect these adulterant, above it is unsafe. So in FSSAI manual, there are methods for each adulterant. Their analytical methods are there, and limit of detection of each method has been given. So that is a drawback of the method, I will say, that if some adulterant can be detected at 0.02 percent level, so that means below that, right now we don't have the methods to analyze those adulterant below that level. So I will not say that at what level it is unsafe. I will say that the adulterant should be present at a level. Adulterant should be absent with the presently available method. So that is, although the lot of literature is available that if urea is there, if large amount of sodium hydroxide is there, H2O2 are there, they are of course toxic to the human body at a higher level. But the point is that at the level which we can detect, it should be absent. Thank you.
Yeah, so taking it forward from here, in 2018, 2016 and 2018, FSSAI conducted a national level milk adulteration survey. In 2018, interestingly, something came out which talked about around 1.2% of the total milk in the country was antibiotic positive, the drug residue positive, and around 5.7% was aflatoxin positive, taking it to something like 7.5% of total milk to be unsafe. Now, when we talk about that, in today's term, it comes out to be total production of 60 crore liters per day. Out of that, close to 4.2 crore liters of milk being unsafe. And if we look at it, considering 1 liter of milk going to one household, let's say, we are talking of 4.2 households in the country, which makes it 14% of the total households in country is getting unsafe milk. Now, and from the contaminants perspective. So that way, we have Rajeshwari ji from CSC, who has been doing a wonderful job, Sanitha Narayan ji, on as far as, the contaminants, antibiotic, AMR, antibiotic microbial residue. Recently, they have published a report with WHO also. So my question to you is that these hazards associated with uncontrolled usage and antibiotics is, it has got impact on our daily lives. And what are the passive sources of antibiotic in our life? One way is that we are consuming on our own, like without any prescription. We feel like that I will get this thing. So let me be proactive on that. But over and above that, what are the other passive ways, and where does dairy stand in that? Please.
Thank you, Kuldeep ji. Before I start, I would like to take a moment to thank the organizers for having CSC on board. We are very grateful at the very outset, not because CSC is here, but because we understand that you recognize the issue, you recognize the concern, and you recognize CSC's contribution to this sector. So I would start with a note of gratefulness. Now coming to the concern of passive sources of antibiotic use, in fact, I was not feeling well today, and I just thought, let me pop one azithromycin, and I suddenly realized, oh no, I am working on AMR, I should not do it. But yes, one is of course when we are popping antibiotics and not following the courses. But when it comes to passive use, I think the use of antibiotics is not just something which is restricted to humans. It is in the animal sector, it is in the crop sector, which is very understandable because it is good for treating infections, and that infections can be, bacterial infections can infect animals and plants. So even in the livestock sector, it could be the poultry, it could be the dairy, the aquaculture, the pets that we have at home, the small aquarium fishes that we have. So not just saying the food animal production sector, but even the other animals, our pet loving animals. Even in the gardens that we have, we are used to giving picosools at times. So, and even in crop production. So when we are giving antibiotics for disease treatment, and I must also mention that antibiotics are also being used in the food animal sector for non-therapeutic purposes like mass disease prevention or for growth promotion. This becomes a passive source because when the product is reaching to us, not all antibiotic residues is out of the product, because I can say that we are in a system, our country, we are in a system where withdrawal period is not 100% followed. Not to blame anyone, but the situation is like that possibly we are not able to follow, and testing and streamlining measures are there, but still, like you said, the FSSAI report does say that 1.2% of the samples came out to be positive. So believe it or not, we have passive sources of antibiotics or residual antibiotics coming into our systems. Even in the crop sector, it is used to prevent diseases, but much of it goes unused into the environment, because when you're spraying on a crop, half of it goes into the runaway. So we are in a way impacting the environment also. Now somebody can ask me what can happen if it goes into the environment. In a way, that environmental contribution of antibiotic residues will eventually go into the drinking water sources. And if the drinking water treatment plant is not able to remove those residues, it will eventually come back to us. So we are in a hot pot of AMR causing determinants. I'd like to close at that.
Thank you. So I think how important it becomes, now to understand that this AMR thing is not only coming from, let's say, the antibiotic which we are taking. Livestock is one of the major source. Poultry is there, animal foods are there, even crops, vegetable, fruits. I think over there, when we went for that launch of that report, people were giving references to the vegetable, and fruits kind of production, crop kind of production where antibiotics are being used, and that is making things more unsafer. Now, from here I would like to shift to Vijay ji and explaining what he's best at. I think till date it has been a mystery for me and for most of us. But today I would like to use his hat, the black hat which he uses from the perspective of being a lawyer and understanding the regulatory very well. So my question to him is that, as I mentioned, that getting safe food is my right, is my fundamental right. So how does the Constitution protect consumers' rights interest in getting safe foods? Still I am not getting it. So now how can I as a consumer actually, what all I can do if suppose I am not getting safe food, and I am not limiting this statement to safe milk only, but other kinds of food also are there. So how do you look at it from that constitutional perspective, please?
Thank you, Kuldeep ji, and thanks to IDA for this very important discussion. Before I move into this important issue, because AMR was highlighted, let me add up two small inputs here. AMR is going to be one of the biggest health hazard in the country or around the world, even much more complicated than cancer. The situation is that many of the patients are not getting treated just because of AMR problems. Medicines are not going to work on you. So once you are sick, only thing is it is a time, a clock is taking how long you will survive, because you are not able to control microbial infections. And this is becoming recorded evidences in hospitals. So for that, there is a AMR declaration. With the help of doctors from the leading hospitals in Apollo and whole lot of, we have created a AMR declaration trust based in Chennai, basically to sensitize doctors and all the stakeholders. There is a web page on Facebook page which is AMR awareness page, which I run. I put whole lot of information. Even in G20 meeting, if you see the health declaration, AMR is a big concern. So it is no more a luxury So wherever you are and whatever you are, if by any reason, if you are not ruthlessly crushing the use of antibiotic, you are doing disservice. There cannot be midway in this. And there's going to be a whole lot of corporate pressures because antibiotic is a big, high margin business game. So you have to be very clear that you are going to up against devils wherever you are. So that is, one is to be blunt and straight, number one. Coming back to the point of safe food. See, if I try to just develop an analogy that yes, constitutional gives us a right to life and good life, life with dignity. The problem comes enforcement. Nature never gives you adulterated milk. And let's be very honest and blunt. I always say that who is manufacturing adulterated product in India? It's very easy to say that government is failing. Okay? But problem is, but government is not manufacturing food. Adulterated milk is supplied by whom? Government sector or private sector? We have to introspect ourselves. Being a dairy technologist, being a food technologist, I am associated with 12 agri-food associations in various capacities, handling whole lot of litigations in courts and everywhere. And I can tell you, the amount of energy people are investing in how to find a new adulterant is more than what the researchers are doing to detect the adulteration. So, you have to appreciate one thing very clearly, that criminals are smarter. And if you want to say how they are smarter, yesterday is my video on my channel, that why we are not able to save the parliament. With all the paraphernalia of 800 crore investments, we were not able to protect it. This is a problem of mindset, not the resources. So it's not an issue of money, it's not the issue of technology. Everything is available, you can control it. But the problem is mindset. Now, when I ask this question to our friends in industry, the point here simple is that they say it is the job of FSSAI. Means I am a thief, I steal the product, and then I say if police is not arresting me, then I am a good citizen. Is this the attitude? That I should be allowed to steal as long as police is not catching me? It's a failure of a police, I have no responsibility as a thief. This is the mindset when we discuss within industry forums. They say, यार अगर मिलावट हो रही है तो FSSAI क्या कर रहा है? अरे तुम मिलावट कर क्यों रहे हो? Where is your moral value and ethical systems in industry? This is the fundamental issue. So when you are talking about 1.4 billion people and out of that I'll say 1 crore involved in trade of dairy or a whole lot of food item, and if they are adulterating, how many policemen we have? And are they trained for adulteration? They can't even catch a person who is taking a smoke gun into the parliament. Will they detect bacteria? And let me tell you, being a technologist, all the harmful products are invisible. Can you see bacteria? No. Can you see pesticide residue? No. Can you see toxin? No. Can you see heavy metal contamination? No. Then what you are detecting? Fat and SNF, which does not kill anyone. Less fat, less SNF is not a food safety hazard. So what is killing people, we are not detecting. It is a flaw in the way we operate. And I always say that the investments in new product development is far ahead, but how to detect adulteration in that product, no research. So it is the way we are planning our own ecosystem, the way we are planning our research, the way we are planning our activities. And I'm sorry to say that even Government of India policies does not address this. Even if you look into the research or schemes of Government of India, look at Ministry of Food Processing, look into Ministry of Agriculture, look into Animal Husbandry, what are the schemes? Seminars and conferences. Where is the scheme how to detect adulteration and research on protection of citizens for quality based on investing in research to find out the adulterants and the thieves in the system. There is no research agenda. And if you ask me, ICR scientist, boss, why you are not doing it? He says, where is the resource? And if I want to do as a private sector, there is no funding. So problem is we ourselves don't look around. At every level we are faulting. And that is the outcome that we all are suffering. I'm not surprised.
Sorry, I think you have created a bigger crisis than about what I was actually asking for. So, but yes, that takes us to one point, that whatever is happening in our life, and we are responsible for that. And I think I agree on that. Now comes, we have Dr. Apanathi with us, and first time I met him in a FSSAI scientific panel discussion. And he has been an expert, and he has spent a good amount of time, particularly dealing with what all these culprits are doing. So today he is going to, so in our panel there is only one presentation which will be made in the next round, where he will be showcasing the real science behind testing adulteration in ghee. He has suggested, he has invented a triglyceride method which he will be sharing for around 15 minutes in the next round of questions. But right now, sir, my question to you is that, you have calibrated, you have created methodologies, you have seen so many adulterants coming your way, you have corrected those testing methodologies also. So just tell us about those challenging moments where there is something in the milk and you have to find out what that is. The problem was not that as easy with that student who was just putting sodium to different levels and testing it. But in your case, it's an unknown devil and you are finding it. We would like to know more about that, how as a scientist, you looked at those challenges and how you solved that, please. And I'm talking of the milk adulteration right now. Yeah.
Thank you, Kuldeep ji, and thank you, IDA, for providing this chance to present and to know that what we have done at our SMC College of Dairy Science, Anand. We are conducting training programs along with teaching and research. We do conduct some training programs, and in training programs, the participants came and they posed a question. That, sir, for one adulterant, there are n number of the same adulterant, several tests are reported. Can you tell me which test I should perform out of all these? First question. One adulterant, there are several tests. His second question was, we pick up, again there is a different procedure. So which procedure is best for a particular test, and which test is best for a particular adulterant? Very difficult to answer, because no research has been done of that type. So I thought that let me have a review. So I started review of literature and went back up to 1820. 1820 is the first published literature, adulteration of food and methods of detecting them. So I started from that, 1820, 1920, 2020, 200 years of review I did. I find out what are the different tests available in the literature and what are the different procedures available for that test. And then I started assigning the research work to students. So we have screened all the methods, we have screened all the tests, and we came out with the best. That for X adulterant, this is the best test, and out of that, this is the best procedure. After completing that, then we thought, because a lot of knowledge we gained out of that extensive review, let us modify this test. So best procedure, best test, and then further improvement in that. All hazardous chemicals have been eliminated from the test. All complicated procedure has been simplified, made fast, limit of detection has been lowered, research was completed. And university was of the opinion, my friend Dr. J.B. Prajapati is also there. He was also opinion, let us patent it. I said no. I do not believe in patenting because only few people will get money out of that. We have done the research with public money and public should get benefit of this. Then they asked that, Vice Chancellor asked what is to be done. I thought, let us give it to the FSSI. He told that you are going to retire within few months, who will do all this? I assure that even after retirement, I will continue this job. So this research was presented at FSSI. Kuldeepji was also present in that. They agreed that, okay, this is a good work and we adopt it, but you get it validated from CAF laboratory and EDB. Okay, fine. We got it validated. Validated report went to FSSI, and in 8 October 2022, our research is now available in the FSSI manual. So this is about my job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And you see, this is the beauty of sitting with teachers. The beauty is that as a moderator, I think that I'll ask a beautiful question and I'll get a more beautiful answer. But these are few those moments where even he improvised upon my question. He added beauty to my question. I wanted to ask the same thing, but I didn't have the words. But the way he explained, the second most important part, he said that his study started from 1820. 1820, 1920, 2020, and if I go back up to 1520. I did a research during COVID, sir. Each year there was a pandemic. I really do not know whether 1820, the pandemic was one of the reasons because, adulteration in food, some those kind of testing started because of that, because you mentioned it was the first year when you got those papers. So I think going to that level and then bringing that, so it's again, the way, it's a checklist-oriented approach. For any research design, whether it's a Nobel Prize or otherwise, for India, I think what he did is equivalent to Nobel Prize because it is there for 1.4 billion people, sir. Let me be very, I want to thank you for that. But coming back, if we have to look at that in research design, it starts with review of literature. The same thing is needed. Madam, we don't require any huge technology interventions in the backward linkage or forward linkage. We want that there should be a checklist kind of approach even at a farmer. If milking is to be done, these 6 steps are to be followed, and the whole country is following that. You will be surprised to know, ma'am, I've been studying this adulteration a little bit. There is a diversity of adulterants being used in the country. We don't have diversity of culture alone in the country. We have diversity of adulterants also, sir. What is being used in north and what is being used in south, there is a difference. Few of them are going to be common, but few of them are going to be different, sir. You might be getting samples from different areas. Coming back to you, sir, and I think this particular part was being told by Vijayji also, and it's a very serious issue. Those people are 2 steps ahead of us. We must appreciate it. If I look into the evolution of adulteration in India, then you will be surprised to know there used to be a tester and there used to be a kind of a helper kind of a person on milk tanker. His job was to take milk sample to the lab. And then in that particular lab, his job was to see what he is doing. And then he used to come back and he used to tell, sir, वो उसने ऐसा ऐसा किया था, उसने कहा what color solution, पढ़ना लिखना किसी को नहीं आता है, and he used to tell everything, and then they used to next day वो कहते थे आज इस टेस्ट पे तो तू नहीं पकड़ा जाएगा, किसी और पे पकड़ा जाएगा. The evolution is like that. They are much more smarter. But technology is also like, yesterday I was doing some assessment somewhere, and what I found, FT3 was there. And immediately वो पता लगा है 35 adulterants का उसने युग करके ऐसे निकाल के दिया, and that is a standard. So technology is also there. But what about if tomorrow the 36th comes? Because now 35 are declared one. How to make the whole testing industry future ready? For that, how would you like to suggest, or even if suppose there are some recommendation, I would like, madam is sitting over there, if something could be done, definitely it will be considered somewhere. How to make this testing kind of, for these adulterants, the testing facility future ready, how can we do it? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Kuldeep ji. Regarding, the market intelligence, or like how the people are using adulterant, I think this house is one of the best source for us. You can tell us that which are the adulterant being prevalent in the market. At NDRI, we are every year we are conducting institute industry meet where industry is invited, and we do get some feedback from the industry that these are the adulterant being used in the country. We have at NDRI NABL accredited lab also. We are getting samples in that lab also. Just to give you the example, like 2 years back, we have a problem of sorbitol. So NDRI has started working on the sorbitol without any, it is an only internally sourced fund. Director was kind enough at that time, they gave the fund, and now we have a method for sorbitol detection. But irony is that nobody is coming forward to buy that particular technology. Secondly, recently we had a sample of a malted milk food for which protein was one of the parameter. We just tested it for urea presence. In malted milk food, urea should not be there because there is no, because only milk, some component of milk is there, but that should not give the positive urea. We got urea positive in that, and we try to estimate it also. We shared the data with the FSSAI also that these products where the protein is there, they are vulnerable to the non-protein nitrogen substances. FSSAI, I think, is taking its whatever activity they are doing, must be they are doing it. But this is how we get the information. Secondly, like we are part of South Asia. Pakistan, adulteration is rampant in the Pakistan, adulteration is there in the Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. We do get some information from these countries also through literature. Similarly, in South America also, similar kind of adulterants are there, probably much more sophisticated. We do also get some information from there. Regarding the research point of view, I think, as you said that FT3 is the equipment. FT3 is basically worked on the FTIR technology. So FTIR is a basically fingerprint type of technology. So what we can do is that we can scan the milk, and if there is any abnormal signature is there, that can be pinpointed, and then research can be initiated on that particular part. Because FTIR will tell only the group of the chemicals, not exactly pinpoint the chemical, so probably further research can be done from that angle. Having said that, we have the problem of presence of contaminant also. As you said that 5.7% of the milk was found to be contaminated with aflatoxin M1, and then 1.2 with the presence of antibiotic. Fortunately, in India, we did not have any very major concern of pesticide or heavy metal. So I think our research or the government focus should be on the aflatoxin M1. Regarding aflatoxin M1, we do not have standards for animal feed. Only we have BIS standards. So BIS standards are voluntary. So I mean, it is up to the industry that they will follow it or not. But if animal feed standards are made compulsory for aflatoxin B1 or aflatoxin, total aflatoxin, probably the problem of aflatoxin M1 can be minimized. Aflatoxin M1 is a really issue because in India we have a 0.5 ppb, but in EU country it is 0.05 ppb. So they have a standard of 10 times lower. So it is a carcinogen. It is a known carcinogen. In the last FSSA survey, just 2,800 samples were analyzed. So in that we found 346, that is 5.7% contaminated. The problem is maybe bigger because the sample size is too small for such a big country. The point is that using various forums and having discussion with the industry from the literature, probably we'll get the information that what type of adulterant can be are being used in and the work on the same can be initiated. Right now, the compliance burden is too much. We have like 55 pesticides, 17 antibiotics, 14 veterinary drugs, then aflatoxin M1. So a lot of, all these are not easy to do. The limit required for their detection is around 0.2 ppm or something like that. So probably we require a rapid method and which can be done at, with ease and with a fraction of a cost. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I think a wonderful idea came out that for the first time, because I'm very fond of watching these con series and all that, but today, instead of criminal fingerprinting, here is a fingerprinting of adulterants. And I think if such kind of inventory could be created, irrespective of what the chemical is, but you have that fingerprint in any of all the FT3 machines, because FT3 machine can be linked to, even FT1 can also be linked to SAP and other thing. If suppose such kind of technology comes, wherever that particular, wavelength comes and the pointed chemicals come, immediately system should come in action. And the machine has got capability to test it. So it's a wonderful idea, sir. And some dedicated lab could be created somewhere. I don't know what that place would be, Anand or NDRI, I am not sure on that. And the other point related to feed regulatory, yes, it is a very important issue, and until unless it comes. But again, the moment feed regulatory come, I had a discussion few days back at FSSAI. Again, madam, the issue is whether it is clean milk production or it is feed regulatory, we will have to give access to the authorities to go to the farmer level. Be it teaching him first, but somewhere down the line, any mistake from his side, because today what is the definition of milk in India? The definition is the milk is at its best at the dock of the plant, and before the dock of the plant, the milk has crossed hundreds of kilometers, sir, and it has exchanged hundreds of hands that way. And same is happening post the dairy plant also. Some known companies' product have been found to be having some microbial infestation because the cold chain is not maintained in the front. How can a person, what right a person has got to sell a perishable product without a fridge? So he has got a license to do that, at least that thing should be. So coming back, the moment we come to feed regulatory, the moment we come to any kind of intervention in contaminants like antibiotic or clean milk production, we need access to the farmer level to ensure higher level of safety in milk. Coming back, Rajeshwari ji, everything is fine. I think you are the most learned person on as far as AMR is concerned. So I'm not going to make question very complex. I just want to ask you that from your perspective, from your studies, how can we ensure safe milk or milk products reach the consumer from the point of view of antibiotic residue? How can we do it?
Thank you, Kuldeep ji. Maybe I'll take a moment to also, before giving the solution, spend maybe a minute on what our research in the dairy space has spoken, and I'm sure ma'am was there in one of our online meetings, and she'll be knowing even sir. So I think the concern for us in the dairy sector is the use of high-end antibiotics, particularly the critically important antibiotics in the treatment. of diseases, and that's very understandable because they are large animals. The physiology is same as almost as humans, and the disease treatment will require antibiotics, unlike the poultry sector where birds are very small. But given that we are the largest producer of milk, we are a huge population of dairy in this country, I think the scale of antibiotic use and the easy availability of antibiotics, because they are cheaply priced, the problem becomes bigger. Now with this background, there is a problem, we understand. It has linkages to AMR, we understand that also, but there is a greater hope. And I'll tell you why there is a greater hope. The hope is because being the largest producer of milk in this world, the global eyes are on us. And we have certain best practices, we have shown certain examples because of which the global eyes want to know how we have done it. I'll talk about it a bit more. We should be able to set example for the global community. That is number one. Number two is we are largely a decentralized model. The entire dairy model in India is pushed by the cooperative sector, which is very interesting. Look at the population of India, look at the demand of milk in India, and it is pushed by small farmers. We are not as intensive as the West. So it is again an interesting example to put forth how small farmers are driving the dairy revolution in India. And the third point is there is scope for us to grow. We are still not very messed up. There is scope for us to improve systems. Now coming back to the answer of how can safe milk reach the consumer, coming from the organization that advocates the environment and safe food, we have a very simple solution. The solution is empower the farmer, which is going to possibly give solution to many of the things that we are discussing today. And that empowerment of farmer, we understand, is not going to come in one day or 1 month or 1 year. It's a long-term agenda we are talking. It's about transforming food systems. Also, me saying transforming food systems does not mean it's going to happen overnight. But how do we transform food systems? And we talk about something called prevention. If we are able to empower farmers through awareness, through necessary mechanisms or surveillance models or optimized use, or these are tools, you know, creating awareness, creating surveillance, these are tools. But ultimately, if we are able to create a system where we are able to avoid the disease through the right vaccination, through the right biosecurity framework, through the right alternative models, a lot of the problem will be solved at source. The greatest advantage of our country is the tremendous and strong vaccination framework that we have, and I'm sure you will agree. If each and every farmer is convinced, we understand from our studies in the practice that there is vaccine hesitancy. People do not want to vaccinate their animal because of so and so reasons. But if this is something we could change. The National Dairy Development Board model of using ethno-veterinary medicines, my colleague traveled to NDDB, visited the Sabar dairy, we have done a story around it. There is an exemplary example we have of using herbal medication and how tremendously successfully it is working. But it is a localized within India and needs to be scaled up. There is some part of it happening in the Netherlands. If that is something which could be taken forward, if we could have the right standard treatment guidelines, the current farmer manual that we have for the dairy does talk about which antibiotics can be used, but it also mentions that some critically important antimicrobials need to be used, which are relevant for humans. Now, if that can be revisited and we are able to take it to the farmers. So there are many small steps which we could take before we could even go to the right instrumentation and the right kind of testing. So that is something at the user level. At the process level, I think we already have experts talking, but I just want to mention at the process level, maybe again empowering farmers with low-cost diagnostics. For example, the California mastitis test. It is such a small and simple test. I mean, I am not an expert. I am talking from my experiences in practice. But if each farmer knew that, okay, there is a symptom and I need to use this test and I need to see that I'm able to avoid a larger crisis, some kind of test, some kind of detection methods, if we are able to invest on that kind of models, I think that would also ensure safer milk to the consumer through the value chain. And my last point, Kuldeep ji, I think I've exceeded my time. I come from an organization where my leadership is an environmentalist, and I cannot leave the environment. So we are also worried about the environment. The waste from the dairy sector is a huge, plays a huge role in Indian economy, plays a huge role in the circular economy. Waste is not something in India which we can just use and throw, throw. It is something which we use. It forms a source of livelihood for us, even the poultry waste. So being able to manage waste which is AMR safe, which does not have resistant bacteria, which does not have antimicrobial residues, because in some way or the other, if we are not treating the waste appropriately, we are eventually again adding AMR causing determinants into this environmental pool. That is also something we need to cater, and indirectly it will also ensure safer food and safer water for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the sake of understanding of everyone, we were just looking at this mastitis part, which is very important from antibiotic perspective. So firstly, when the budget came and budget said 4,200 crore rupees for dairying sector, and out of that more than 50% is going for vaccination, I was feeling very bad. And I was thinking, what is this happening? Why they are spending so much on vaccination? Why should not they create infrastructure and all that? But sitting over here today, I am understanding that how wise that particular thing. And now I am also thinking why whole of 4,200 was not spent on that. So coming back, mastitis is such a thing. I was talking to a farmer. I said, okay, so you use antibiotic, you have this Thanella problem. वो कहता है साहब Thanella problem होता है. तो मैंने कहा, if suppose Thanella is there, what will you do? कहता है साहब दूध को फेंक देते हैं. मैंने कहा, okay, then you don't give milk to the society. कहता है नहीं साहब देते हैं. मैंने कहा, what do you mean? तो कहता है वो जिस टीट का दूध में Thanella है उसे फेंक देते हैं, बाकी 3 का दे देते हैं. सुई तो लगी हुई है जानवर को. The cost of treatment of mastitis in India is 840 rupees. The cost of using California mastitis test kit is 30 rupees per sample. The cost of using ready-made mastitis testing kit is 140 rupees. Over and above that, most of the time it is happening that for 3 days withdrawal, which is a standard with the antibiotic, so 3 days, if it's a high-yielder animal giving 10 liters of milk, it means 30 liters of milk will also get wasted if suppose we start worrying from AMR perspective. Interesting part is, there have been incidences where, because most of the time these antibiotics goes through the government route, certain veterinary department have approved those antibiotics which were having a withdrawal period of more than 1 month even. So if suppose the government is giving antibiotic and withdrawal period is high, in that particular case, how can we blame the farmer? Will he sit idle? So these are couple of costs involved just with mastitis treatment. I'm not mentioned about anything else. So wonderful the way you have suggested and how the Sabar dairy case you presented, and I think we had someone from Mr. O.R. Gupta or from NDDB also. There was someone. It was a wonderful case. Coming back, Vijay ji. One of the things which actually is creating a lot of, I'm not saying lot of noise, but yes, whispers are there. And those whispers are around these food frauds. And these food frauds may be of different types, maybe with chemical or even, with dairy-like or those kind of products being sold in the disguise of dairy and all that. Please tell us more, or enlighten rather, that what kind of category would go into food fraud, and particularly from dairy analogs, whatever is happening right now, people are talking very high about their product all the time, proving it is better than milk. So please enlighten us on this subject of food fraud from dairy perspective, please.
Thank you, Kuldeep ji. It's a very important issue. See, we all have to appreciate, we all are talking, we are part of a commercial world. Money makes the mayor go, nothing else. No law, no technology, no microbiology, no antibiotic, they all are time pass. All are working to make money. Focus is how to work on bottom line, how to increase the profit. Now there are 2 ways to do it. Either you increase the price or you reduce the cost of production. Life is common sense. Let's not make it complicated. If you operate at common sense, all answers are very simple and it is doable. Why people will cheat someone? Because they say the price is high and I have to reduce the cost of production and there is no way. Simple option is, unofficially you call it adulteration, officially you call it analogs. Accept it. Otherwise, why, and it's irrespective. Don't look at this, only small companies do it. Everybody loves the language of money, irrespective of society, status, caste, creed, color, doesn't matter. That's the most favorite topic around the world. Now what is happening is that when you feel that customer is looking for certain functionality or a product for application, take example of butter, which is very commonly talked about. And I'll give you an example, and it will be shocking to you. Because my experience with the food laws is not now, it's almost like now, 84 onwards, you can say talk about. And I give you live example. 1997, there was a proposal in Ministry of Health when FSSAI was not there. And you should appreciate that FSSAI was my proposal. We wanted to make it a beautiful animal, it has become monster. Anyway, that's a separate thing. Purpose was that the proposal came from a multinational. Vanaspati is bad for health. Trans issue we talk about, trans fat. So what is the answer? Technology gives us an option to go for interesterification of fats so that you can increase or you can manage the melting point of the fat. That's the whole approach. Agreed? Once you have an interesterified fat, then how you will differentiate in the eyes of customer that it is not vanaspati, it is interesterified fat. The whole issue was cis and trans. Again, logical. And I'm talking of a multinational. Don't ask me to give the name. If you insist, I'll do also. FSSAI, at that time PFA, Committee on Fats and Oils. I was part of almost 54 committees of Government of India. So I know what all happens in various committees, how pulls and pressures work. Proposal came to the committee, interesterified fat should be differentiated in the eyes of a customer. That is why we should be allowed to use color and flavor. Otherwise, how will you differentiate? Okay? Fine. Now look at how the hidden agenda plays. Unfortunately for them and good for Indian dairy industry, I just took over as a director of Confederation of Indian Food Trade and Industry. Next day, that was a meeting on oils and fats. Agenda was there. I was in the meeting. The agenda was that in last meeting, you allowed us to permit in bulk packing, not in retail packing, because committee was not aware what is and how it is going to impact the society. It is a new monster. So the proposal came from the applicant that please allow us also in retail packs. Very good. Means interesterified fat, bulk was allowed with flavor and color. Demand came for retail packs, means half kg, 1 liter, 200 gram, whatever it is. Please allow. I was in the meeting. Everyone in the meeting, 50 scientists, including bureaucracy, allowed. I raised the objection. So chairman was director of Oils and Fats Institute in South India. मैंने कहा, sir, I have one rider. If it is a good product, please permit. I have no problem with retail pack also. Once you have given in bulk, what's the problem in retail? But I have one rider. This company should not be allowed to use desi ghee color and desi ghee flavor. Look at the minor wordings of the law. You are allowed to use color and flavor. You are not specifying which one. It means whole range. I am also now putting a rider, no desi ghee color and no desi ghee flavor. and please permit. Committee agreed. Demand met. Minute the meeting finished, I came out, I was surrounded by 10 representatives of that company. You screwed us our agenda of last 10 years. Now, Mr. Sadana, who told you to speak about flavor and color of desi ghee? Now you can understand the intention. And as a dairy technologist and a food technologist and the person who deals with the consumers and farmers day in, day out, why people eat desi ghee? For color and flavor. It's a taste which drives the consumption, not nutrition. Nobody consumes desi ghee for nutrition. It is 90% is taste, sensory properties. And if I give a fictitious product at par with desi ghee in the form of desi ghee was 150 and this product will come at 40 rupees. What will happen to dairy industry? The whole economy is dependent on the fat pricing. Imagine the impact. And this is the way decisions were happening in the Committee of Government of India and Ministry of Health. They don't understand beyond what is written on the paper. And the way it is projected by the applicant, they don't apply beyond. And that is why interface is required. And you know what happened to that? After getting all the permissions, that product was never launched. This is a live example how what you are saying happens. Now, there are hundreds of products. Take example, what is a dairy whitener? Milk powder mixed with sugar. What is the price of milk powder and what is the price of dairy whitener? In the name of convenience, remember one thing. Only 3-4 categories you will always find when it comes to analog. Product will be filled with sugar. Product will be filled with lowest cost fat. Product will be filled with lowest cost, whether maida or atta or corn flour. No analog will ever use expensive product than the original. If I am giving a milk fat butter, which is costing suppose 400 rupees a kg, proposal will always be how to mix cheaper option into the expensive option. It will never be, sir, allow me to use almond oil in butter. Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? So this is a common sense approach. And unfortunately, adulteration is easily visible. Take another example. The whole fight of stop blending of mustard oil with any other oil was again my issue, which I fought for 2 years. Government of India, FSSA was very keen that blending should continue at the cost of customers. I don't know why. What is their own agenda? When we reduced it, point is, when raw material is suppose 90 rupees or 100 rupees mustard, you need on an average 3 kgs of raw material to produce 1 kg of oil. If raw material is 80 rupees and 90 rupees and mustard oil is selling at 130, what this means? And then we say, where is the adulteration? अरे तुम्हारी MRP पे लिखा हुआ है adulteration यार. 130 rupees below your cost of production and you are selling a product. And you are writing it pure mustard oil. This also you have to teach the inspectors how to catch adulteration because there is no desire to give the safe product. Again I said, language of money. And money can be fair and unfair, over the table and under the table. By banking transaction or cash transfer, it can be anything. It is money. So what we have to appreciate in the process is, everything is doable. Another signal I can tell you what is happening, just which you gave example. Please go to the website of, you all have an internet, I'm giving you an interesting exercise. There is an Oasis website of US FDA. Every month, they give the list of products across the world, and India is one of the highest or second highest rejected product in the list, which is all food and drugs. It is all published. Which company, which product, everything is transparent there. Big company's name is listed there. My request to Government of India was, जब उनका नाम वहाँ आ गया तो वही सैंपल तुम यहाँ देख लो। जब एक्सपोर्ट प्रोडक्ट सब स्टैंडर्ड निकल रहा है तो डोमेस्टिक में आपको क्या ज़्यादा रिश्तेदारी है? And you are paying less, and they are paying more, and still the adulterated products are exported. Substandard products are exported. Take an example. You are putting a product into a sealed pack in India. It is tested by EIC, FSSAI, all NABL certified lab before you export. That's a requirement. Export permission. Every lab says great product. You export. Consignment reaches American port, the test result says contains filth. Now tell me, in a sealed product, how filth will enter when the product is on high sea? It means filth was packed here, fake certificates were issued, and products were dispatched. My request to Madam and the whole department here is, why not we initiate investigation against all the products which are failing in the international market? You will come to know the chain of all the fraudsters in the line, including laboratories, those who are issuing fake products. Number one, fake certificates. Number two, every FSSAI department in every state is testing whole lot of a product. Why that results are not on lab on the websites? So that as a consumer, I should know that this X brand Y lot found adulterated, so that I should not buy. Fraudsters will be wiped out. I raised this issue to the CEO of FSSAI. He says, this much transparency is dangerous. For whom? For bribe takers. Good for consumers. So what you are saying is, everything is possible, doable. We are doing it. But we are not interested in implementation honestly, transparently. So life is very simple. No need to go into too many research. Don't waste time in too many things. Don't make too many issues. Just tell that whatever samples you pick up, keep putting their test results on the website. Let customer decide. If I buy an adulterated product, I'm taking my risk of my life. Leave it to me. Don't come in between. If I find this product is adulterated, irrespective of brand and company, the consumer will reject that company will close down, one problem is out. You don't need inspectors for that. Customer is capable enough. And today in social media, I will flash it, at least 5 lakh people will see my channel and at least not buy that junk. Yeah. So point here comes up is, everything is existing in the world. Do we have a willpower and desire to deliver at the people, those who sit on the decision-making positions? Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay ji. And food fraud से आप तो departmental frauds पे आ गए.
Departmental fraud and food fraud is a symbiotic relation. Either or, they cannot exist in isolation. Every inspector knows who is the culprit. Every inspector knows in his area कि कौन मिलावट करता है. Even within industry knows who is doing it. No. But we all keep quiet.
You're absolutely right, because there are certain facts. I think let's sit on this side, because this is the only presentation of this session. आप इधर आ जाइएगा, please. Sir, आप आइए. So, as Vijay ji was talking about the oil and ghee side, so ghee, madam, is a very big issue, and 2 requests from our side. One is to set up the right system at FSSAI for testing, because the current testing methods, whatever are available, are all negotiated. Under Dr. Rajorhia, I was also part of that committee. We recommended, notification is there. It has yet to be implemented, I think, from January, December only. I don't know whether it will be implemented or not, one thing. Second thing is, I don't know how directly it impacts, but GST on butter and fat is deterrent for the farmers. If something could be done, we can only put our words over here in front of you, and that is all. Sir, so this particular method, I think he'll be telling you more in detail. This is the method which is one of the most foolproof method for testing adulteration of edible oil in desi ghee. And this is what you are recommending also, sir, for FSSAI to take up.
Yes, is required, but we should initiate it.
Sure, please, sir. It's your time, 15 minutes to you, sir. No disturbance for next 15 minutes.
So, tackling the menace of fat adulteration by gas chromatographic analysis of triglycerides. This is my starting point of literature. Adulteration of food, methods of detecting them. उंदर बिल्ली का खेल है, चलता रहेगा. 1820, this is the first published literature available on detection of adulteration of food and its detection. So in the dairy business, the main problem is pricing policy. Our pricing policy is based on percentage fat content. All milk and all milk products, most of the milk products, their price is decided by fat. How many percentage of fat is present? And that is why it creates temptation to add cheaper vegetable oils and fat. This is the root cause. And the problem with traditional methods, whatever the methods we are using at present for detection of adulteration in milk fat or the ghee, lack of robustness. They are not robust. They can be very easily manipulated, present methods. Non-comprehensive. To establish the purity, we have to perform RM test, RM value, Polanski value, BR reading, saponification value, iodine value, beta-cetosterol test, fatty acid composition, blah, 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 whatnot. When a dairy is receiving 70 lakhs liters of milk per day, how it is possible to perform so many tests to establish that yes, our milk fat is pure? Not practicable at all. Methods are lengthy and tedious, not practicable. Require corrosive, toxic, hazardous chemicals, costly chemicals, creates health hazard and creates the pollution, and involve human intervention at several operations in the method, and therefore always remain at the risk of human bias or human error. To tackle this menace of smart adulteration in milk fat adulteration, what we require? Appropriate parameters to test the purity of milk, that is very robust and comprehensive in nature, and we require suitable methods which are simple to perform, rapid to get the results, safe for human and environment, and economical in running cost. And to overcome this problem, conventional methods, various instrumental methods have been invented: gas chromatography, infrared spectroscopy, thermal analysis, and high pressure liquid chromatography. Among all the four categories, testing of milk fat by gas chromatographic analysis of intact triglyceride molecule is the only method which is most systematically developed, very extensively researched, and internationally approved at present. No other method is internationally approved. And to know how and why of this method, let us have a quick glance at the chemistry of milk fat. That glyceride is generated by reaction of 1 molecule of glycerol and 3 molecules of fatty acid. And this fatty acid will vary. Glycerol remains glycerol, whether it is animal fat, whether it is a plant fat. Plant fat, any oil, animal body fat, mutton tallow or beef tallow or lard or fish oil, glycerol remains glycerol. Only variation is fatty acid. There are several types of variation in fatty acid: long chain, short chain, medium chain, saturated, unsaturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, conjugated, non-conjugated, omega-3, omega-6. Everything is decided by this fatty acid. Nutrition value, chemical characteristic, physical property, everything is decided by fatty acid. And so far this triglyceride method is concerned, chain length of fatty acid is created, very important. This, in any oil or fat, triglyceride constitute about 98%, means any oil or fat is nothing but triglycerides. And analysis of intake triglyceride will give you better information. We are keeping as such, entire molecule is kept as such, without change, so better information can be obtained. In milk fat, more than 400 fatty acids have been identified, and therefore, thousands of different triglycerides will be present. If we take only 15 fatty acids, major fatty acids, occurring at a level of more than 1%, even then 680 triglycerides are likely to be present in milk fat or ghee. So it is not easy to manipulate triglyceride composition of milk by any smart technique. And that is the reason why this method is so powerful. Potential of this method was way back, early 50s was recognized by Balaraoji when he was working in US. And problem was in separation of triglycerides. Therefore, this method potential was not exploited. And when method was developed to separate the triglycerides by gas chromatography, momentum has picked up to develop the method. So gas chromatography separates the triglyceride within 26 minutes into 16 fractions, depending upon their number of carbons. This is how we get the percentage of different triglycerides after gas chromatography. This method was started, pioneer is Cooksick and McGrath in Canada, who started using this method, and the final shape was given by Preach in Germany. And this method was subsequently adopted by ISO and now working as ISO method. So what he did, he derived 5 equations and get the 5 values known as S values, because they are obtained from standardized equations, so it was given S value. And now they are designated as S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5. He also established the standard. So these are the 5 equations. Gas chromatography, you will get triglyceride. Triglyceride values are given into computer automatically, and they will derive the 5 values. These are the standards. That given milk sample, milk fat must fall, their values must fall within this limit. If it is less than this, if it is more than this, your milk fat sample is adulterated. Each S value for pure milk, it remains in vicinity of 100. S1, S2, S3, S4, they indicate specific type of adulterant, whereas S total indicates general adulteration. If it is not able to identify the fat or oil, general adulteration. What is the basic principle of this method? It is based on difference in triglyceride profile of milk fat and that of the foreign fats. You can see, if I have taken one example from each 5 S value, 4 S values. Soybean from S1, coconut from S2, tallow S3, lard S4. Can you see? None of the foreign fat is resembling the triglyceride profile of milk fat. So even a small amount of any foreign fat is added, its triglyceride composition will vary, and immediately it can be detected. Mixing of foreign fat changes the triglyceride composition and therefore changes the S value and can be detected. This method developed by Preach was subsequently recognized by, it was developed in Germany, so first adopted by Germany. Then European Commission adopted that method into 1995, and international standard as well as IDA, IDF, both have now adopted this method as a reference method for detection of adulteration in milk fat, detection of foreign fat. Advantage of this method, highly comprehensive, single-handedly detects all kind of vegetable oils, all kind of animal body fats, और एनी कॉम्बिनेशन देयर ऑफ डिटेक्ट कर लेगा वो। ऑल्सो टेंटेटिवली आइडेंटिफाई भी कर देगा क्या है, कैपेसिटी टू क्वांटिफाई, हाईली सेंसिटिव। If S1, S2, S3 or S4 is used, then limit of detection is 2 to 5.4%. If S total is used as a marker, detection limit is 4 to 6.4%. Better reliability. At a given limit of detection, 99% confidently it can detect the adulteration. Non-destructive. घी तक तो सब मेथड एक है, आरएम वैल्यू करो या कुछ भी एनालिसिस करो, अप टू घी इट इज सेम. आफ्टर घी जस्ट यू टेक few microgram of ghee, dissolve in hexane, inject in the machine, 26 minutes, you will get all the 5S values. And recognized and accepted at international level. However, coin has always two sides, plus and minus. This is not an exception. Under specific circumstances, it may give false positive results. What are those? Milk from other than cow. Because this method was basically developed in the Germany using cow milk. So if buffalo or sheep or goat, any other milk is used, may give false positive results. Milk of cow giving high amount of vegetable oil. अगर ज़्यादा cotton seed ज़्यादा खिला दिया, false positive हो सकता है. Milk of single cow. Kindly remember this point, milk of single cow. इंडियन कंडीशन में जब एप्लीकेशन की बात आएगी, डेटा हम देखेंगे तब पता चलेगा. मिल्क ऑफ काव विच हैज एक्यूट अंडर फीडिंग, स्टारवेशन है तो फॉल्स पॉजिटिव आ सकता है. कोलोस्ट्रम में नहीं अप्लाई कर सकते. स्किम मिल्क, बटर मिल्क और वे में से अगर फैट निकाला है तो उसको ये अप्लाई नहीं होगा. मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स अंडरगोन एक्सटेंसिव लाइपोलिसिस, मेनली चीज़ में ये प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है. कोलेस्टेरॉल रिमूवल या फ्रैक्सीनेशन मिल्क फैट का किया है, कोई प्रॉपर्टी चेंज करने के लिए एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. सो व्हाट इज द प्रोस्पेक्ट ऑफ एप्लीकेशन ऑफ दिस मेथड इन इंडिया? देयर आर टू मेन कंसर्न. फॉल्स पॉजिटिव इन बफेलो मिल्क और मिक्स मिल्क एंड प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ फॉल्स पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट्स इन मिल्क फ्रॉम ऑयल सीड, कॉटन सीड खिलाए, तो उसके लिए हमें रास्ता निकालना पड़ेगा. तो अंडरस्टैंड दिस फॉल्स पॉजिटिव की जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो कितने परसेंट तक, कितने हद तक ये सही है? लेट अस सी इट. कॉटन सीड खिलाएंगे, फैटी एसिड कंपोजिशन चेंज होगा तो ट्राइग्लिसराइड चेंज होगा तो फॉल्स पॉजिटिव आएगा. कॉटन सीड खिलाया, ट्राइग्लिसराइड चेंज हो गया, फॉल्स पॉजिटिव आएगा. तो इसका रास्ता निकालना पड़ेगा. हाउ टू टेकल दिस? बफेलो मिल्क, बफेलो में क्या होगा? Triglyceride composition of cow and buffalo milk, there is a difference. So we have to take care of this, and we may have to modify some values of this. Research was conducted at NDRI Karnal. Cow milk 100% compliance, buffalo milk change आ रहा है. So we have to take this into account while formulating. Then national survey was conducted by NDRI Karnal, 4 different regions. These are problem. मैंने थर्ड पॉइंट वहाँ बोला था कि इंडिविजुअल काउ मिल्क में ये अप्लाई नहीं होगा. दिस मेथड कैन नॉट बी अप्लाई टू इंडिविजुअल काउ मिल्क, एंड प्रोबेबल रीजन फॉर सच डेविएशन इज माइट बी ड्यू टू देयर क्वांटिटी ऑफ सैम्पलिंग माइट बी लेस. ओनली सिंगल काउ और सिंगल बफेलो, ओनली फ्यू बफेलो, दैट इज वाई these samples are failing, otherwise it won't fail. Now, to substantiate my statement, their quantity of sampling was less from individual cows. This is the data from GCMMF, Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. Under Dr. J.B. Prajapati's leadership, we took up a project from GCMMF and we analyzed the data. That what is the status? They have already implemented this method. Government has not implemented, dairy industry has already implemented this method with some modifications. This is the proof. You can see low fat milk, no problem of implementation, medium fat milk and high fat milk. Only S3 and S total with upper limit there is a problem. Otherwise there is no problem in implementing this method. This data indicates that except these two values, this method can be very well adopted in India and some survey work is required. So to conclude my talk, as on date, determination of fat purity by this method, most versatile and irreplaceable analytical tool. और ये मैं नहीं कहता, किताबों में लिखा है यारो. Into inverted comma, I have taken this statement from the literature. Other side, cow buffalo का problem है that we have to address by modifying the limits of this method, and then we have to take care of, and it requires survey and research work to design the limits as per our country. And the second issue is feeding cotton seed. So previous in EGMARC and FSSI both have taken consideration of cotton seed track. They have a different standard for cotton seed. So similar approach can be adopted here. Or another idea is that let us have a test. If somebody says that I have given cotton seed to my cow or my buffalo and that is why my fat is boiling, there has to be a test to establish whether it is milk fat is adulterated by addition of cotton seed or whether it is genuine cotton seed feeding to the animal. ये दो के बीच में डिफरेंस करने का अच्छा टेस्ट निकल जाए तो ये सारा पंगा निकल जाएगा cotton seed वाला. In some work I know Dr. Rajan has done at NDRI, and if it can be done and refined and adopted by the industry, cotton seed वाला पंगा सारा निकल जाएगा साहब. Suitable modification हमें करने पड़ेंगे to extend this or drop some values right now for my application and modify the values. Thank you, and I take your leave because we have a flight. My friend is waiting, so that I have to fly. Sorry.
सर अभी टाइम है, डोंट वरी, फ्लाइट रोकते हम, आप रुकिए. एक
कुलदीप जी आप ही आ जाइए.
हाँ सर, मैं ही आ जाता.
Please, sir.
May I request all the panelists to come on the stage, please? Let's conclude the session. हाँ. सर बहुत टाइम है अभी फ्लाइट में.
भाई प्रोफेसर है ना, नहीं मारेगा.
एक मिनट रुकें, कंक्लूड कर लें सेशन. ये हम सर So I think I'll just take 5 more minutes just to conclude. What have been wonderful findings, what a wonderful afternoon we had. So first thing which is coming up very clearly, madam, that there has to be focus on primary production. Even in countries like Kenya. So from dairy perspective, I think that is a country where milk in loose being sold the most. So they have that bulk vending system, but even in their case, primary production is a part of the regulatory. Even they have a very interesting thing. I had discussions with them, their board at one point of time, where they were trying to bring even the milk analyzer within the space of regulatory. So they wanted it to be there, like not only metrology, but it should have been coming under the food regulations. So one thing is for sure, focus on primary production is, now I think the time has come. And some special labs where, as Dr. Rajan also mentioned, some kind of coding or fingerprinting of adulterants, and maybe a study could be conducted where nationwide inventory of these contaminants and adulterant is created throughout the country. And I think that thing, let it be on region to region basis, so that over a period of time we can find what kind of solutions are required. Training is a must at all levels, be it CMP or feed and ethno-veterinary. NDDB is doing a wonderful job on that. And last but not the least, that let there be very clear list of non-negotiable across the dairy value chain, which should be very simple. At farmers level, what should be done? For example, now INAP is happening. At NDDB, I was discussing, if I look at the current status, then interestingly, let's say 6 crore liter of milk being collected at 230,000 societies, and let's say 240 unions. We have got close to 1.9 crore farmers associated with that. But at the society level, farmer code is there. His animal code is not there. If suppose we incorporate the animal code with the farmer name, the moment any veterinary has given an antibiotic injection to any of that animal, immediately the system will block the receipt of milk for that farmer code. So that is where, you know, sir, in the morning you were talking of blockchain. If we are talking of traceability in India, we have reached up to the level of identity preservation and not true traceability. The last traceability, the best of traceability, we have up to the tanker level. And let's say, you know, the centers related to that or VLC. But doing such kind of things could be a possibility. So coming back, defining the non-negotiable, nobody should be allowed to sell milk, let's say if it's a pasteurized milk, below a certain degree. I'm not saying whether it should be 8 or 7 or 6 or 4, I don't know what that should be. But these non-negotiables should be treated as non-negotiable, and definitely training across the dairy value chain. Thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists. Yes, sir. Ek fatafat, sir.
Kuldeep ji, Vijay. Can I give a suggestion on your whole issue?
Please.
See, we have to simplify. The approach is very important and the issue is important. My request is, if Government of India, Madam, I have a small request. You can issue a notification from the ministry. All the pharmaceutical companies, those who are making antibiotics and selling to dairy or livestock sector, whether poultry or dairy, like in seed, what happens? Any company who is selling a seed has to report back to the local APMC how much seed they sold in that area. Can we make it mandatory under the law that every antibiotic manufacturer has to declare in which district how much antibiotic they sold? Because this can be traced back based on their turnover, capacity utilization and the sales. So minute you know that it is, instead of random whole country, अगर disease है ही नहीं तो वो बेचेगा नहीं. और जहाँ पे problem है, वहाँ पे दो रास्ते निकलते हैं. Why he is selling? Because there is a frequency of the outbreak. Then we have to take a preventive approach instead of curative. So that consumption goes down. If you go into farmer level, booth level, it is impossible. So start from how to concentrate the data information at a level and then working backward from there. And for making corporate it mandatory, it is doable. Making mandatory for farmer is impossible because of political reason. So what we have to look at is that we can work out, if you permit us with Sodhi Saab, and we can come and discuss with you how to enforce these things and which is doable, because in other sectors it is happening. In pesticides, in seeds, in fertilizer. Second, all veterinary drugs in India, please ask your inspectors to visit all the medicine shops of where you are selling veterinary medicine, no MRP. And no action by department on any of the manufacturer, which is mandatory under Consumer Protection Act. MRP is mandatory, nobody is putting. So what we are saying is that lack of enforcement, either we have to train our own inspectors, they are anyway less in number, but I think if required, through IDA, we can organize a training program for your inspectors that what they have to do in the field. and make the whole inspection reports live via app on internet. Don't do paperwork because all corruption happens there. That is what we have to, and it is all easily doable. What we need is willpower. So if you can lead, we will support. So ball is back in your court. That's it. Thank you.
Biswajit ji, please. Yeah.
Sir, I have two suggestions one is the fingerprint research. The FT are from Denmark. We need to involve them. Sorry. And that will be dynamic and continuously evolving as the new adulterants are coming up. Again, we have to do it. Second thing, the blocking of farmers' milk. We tried it under Amul. It's a very typical situation. What that milk he will do, it is his livelihood. So, those cheez main batana.
Absolutely. We appreciate that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, madam. Now it's all yours.